The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of Choice 105.3 or its advertisers.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need.
Listen.
Caller, you want to tell me and then we tell you.
Learn.
My passion first is for young men to be what we used to call in the boys' brigade, sure and steadfast.
Tell me, a Choice program on Thursdays from 8 to 10 p.m. It's eye-opening.
Hello. I want to tell people them be careful what they call me these people. Anybody calling us trash, we're going to lick you and we're going to lick you real hard.
Thought-provoking.
You old people you're calling outsiders.
No.
Interesting.
Hush your mouth because you don't even know the facts. Oral Martin should have make it his business to notify NNC.
Oh, you work at NNC?
And let me know.
And entertaining. Tell me. Heard all over the world on www.choicefm1053.com. What have you got to say? Calling on area code 869-469-5300. From the USA or Canada, call 203-983-8903. From your cell phone, call 662-5304 or text 1053 or email tellmechoice@yahoo.com. Nivisions, near and far, your chance to call in on Tell Me on Choice Community Radio.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, baby.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest, you don't know. I'm going to say from you want investment, development and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP, you don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP. NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Nevisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, no matter if you...
Very special good evening to our radio listeners in tune to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM. It is Thursday, the 10th day of August, 2017, 5 minutes after 8 p.m. And you know, once it's a Thursday and we do have electricity, we have Tell Me. It is a program dedicated to you, our radio listeners. We are here every Thursday evening with me, myself. My name is Sean Springett, alongside Mr. Tulu Weeks and our host, Mr. Kyle Powell, bringing to you information pertaining to Nevis. We're asking you to participate with us with our phone numbers, 469-5304. And we'll give you the email address, the website, and that is www.sknclt.com or www.mixup.listentomyradio.com. We will repeat those addresses later on in the program. But you can participate with us again. And hello and good evening to our listeners in St. Kitts, St. Martin, Antigua, Montserrat, surrounding islands who might be picking us up on the FM band. Those online in the United States, Europe, in the diaspora, wherever you are, thank you for joining with us and being a part of the Choice family. Tulu, good evening to you.
Good evening, Sean. Good evening once again to our listening public. It is good to be with you on another Thursday, having missed last week because of electricity problem. We're so happy that we have electricity this evening and we're with you. So again, sit back, pay close attention to the information that we will share with you, that we know will help you to make informed decisions as we go along. And so good evening one and all.
And good evening to our host, Mr. Carla Powell.
Good evening, Sean. Good evening, Tulu. And we sat down here in the darkness for about 45 minutes last week, just hoping that the electricity would come. And it didn't. And I got so frustrated that I gave away my ticket to the Soca Monarch competition. My plan was to leave from Tell Me and go straight to Soca Monarch. And unfortunately, the power didn't come back. And so I didn't feel neither power nor groovy. And so I went home instead. I want to say good evening to all our many listeners wherever you are. And I hope that you're tuned in and listening, and that you're ready to spend the next 2 hours or so with us. Let's start with Culturama. I was so happy that the Culturama ended and I didn't hear of many casualties or many injuries. Just one very sad note. There is a gentleman, a Mr. Wilkes, who was visiting from St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, who I understand got badly beaten to the extent where he has had to be hospitalized here in Nevis. I don't know the cause of that kind of savagery which was perpetrated on him. My understanding is that he was so badly beaten that his face is swollen, his eyes were closed, he had lost some teeth and whatever, and he was just left on the side of the road. I mean, we in Nevis, we have to be better than that. We have to be much more caring than that. And we can't be treating people this way. He's a Nevisian. He's somebody from here in Nevis who has been here with us. He's from Hanley's Road, spent time with us here in Nevis, and comes to Nevis on a fairly regular basis. I don't know if you gentlemen heard about this, but he's at the hospital in Nevis, and it is my intention to go and pay him a visit and to pay my respects to him. And I hope that the police will find the perpetrators of this very savage beating on Mr. Wilkes. It's not good at all.
I didn't hear about it, Mr. Powell. This news to me. But, once we have these kind of violent acts, you have to condemn it, no matter who it is. So we wish him a speedy recovery. And it's an unfortunate incident.
Let me see if I can pull up the story here. Because I know that I saw something on that earlier today, maybe even yesterday. Mr. Elmos Wilkes beaten, robbed and tied up on the road in Nevis. Charlestown, Nevis, August 9th, 2017. Nevisian Elmos Wilkes, who returned to Nevis for a funeral and who decided to stay on for Culturama, is in serious condition at the Alexandra Hospital in Charlestown after being beaten and robbed. According to a family member who resides in New York, Wilkes, who lives in St. Croix with his family and will not be named, is suspected to have been beaten and robbed between Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. He was found tied up on the road. He is a mess in hospital, and this is a quote. His face is swollen and he has lost teeth, said the family member Wednesday evening. Police in Nevis have confirmed the incident. And so that is a story which has been circulated, and we just want to reach out to the community and say, listen, if you saw anything, just say what you saw, because I mean we're not that kind of a community, and I certainly cannot endorse anybody beating up people just like this. So, gentlemen, it's a sad way to start. I know in some Culturamas at the end of it you have heard that somebody was rolled over by a trailer, somebody was injured in this way, but we don't want to hear people being beaten up. I hate to hear people being hurt or injured, and so I just wanted to bring that at the start of the program and say that I condemn any acts like that.
It sends shivers to my body and a coldness to hear of this. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. But we have become so callous in this society and uncaring that we do these kind of things, and it seems as if everybody just close their eyes and turn a deaf ear to a situation like this. It's amazing. We would like to know where it happened, where it happens.
I'm not sure. I started asking some questions. The minister responsible for culture said we had an incident-free Culturama.
No,
so maybe he don't count this.
We couldn't have an incident-free Culturama. Well, I guess if nobody died, he doesn't call these other things. But apart from that, you would have known that the minister said that he spent $1.7 million to enhance the cultural village. But apparently he didn't spend any money to enhance the cultural complex, because my daughter is nursing an injured leg because she went to attend a function and fell through the seating and...
Fell through?
Yeah, the seating, the footrest where you walk across and go to your seat, broke in under her and damaged one of her leg. And she's now crying out for more and more pains. And I knew from when she said that she fell through, and the picture also when fell through, I said, this girl is going to have some serious after pain when this thing cold out. And she's in a wreck. And so my thing is, the cultural village is where your major activities will be held. Your Queen show, your Calypso shows, where most people are going to attend.
No, the Culturama village.
The Culturama complex. Mm-hmm. Going to be where most of the activities are held. They didn't keep the Calypso show down in the village, right?
Correct.
They kept them up in the complex. The Queen shows were in the complex. And here's where you were supposed to put some money there, where your major activities will be held. Can't they put everything down in the village? Did not look after the seating area, and so she went to attend the show and fell through. Mess up her leg. So what happens? And I said from here that I am not saying that they should not improve the village if they wanted to, but most of the attention should have been placed on the cultural complex where most of the activities will be held, or the major activity will be held. And so now, we haven't heard anything from him. I don't know what they're doing with her. But when I spoke to her this morning, she just complained about immense pain. And I'm wondering who is going to compensate her for this. They invited her to come to her show. She had to pay money to get into her show. And it is sad.
Incident-free Culturama?
Well, he said incident-free. I guess that doesn't count, because, again, like I said, as long as somebody didn't kill somebody, then it's incident-free for him.
Well, let's reach out as well and say that we wish your daughter all the best, and we hope that she recovers quickly, and we hope that the government steps up to its responsibility and look after her. I mean, we've been having Culturama since 1974, and when those wooden seatings were put in, people hailed that as a great accomplishment. But I've gone past that now. I believe that in the Culturama village we're supposed to have stadium-style seating, the same as you have down at Warner Park, so that people can have a more comfortable seat when they go to Culturama. Because people are encouraged to come for the show starting at 8. And so they get there at 7:15, 7:30, and the shows finish early. Queen show this year was early, but the teenage pageant wasn't so lucky. That was after 2 o'clock in the morning. So I understand. And so people have to be sitting there for 6 hours on those hard benches. And if, like the Queen show, the heavens open up and rains tumble down, then you have a problem. Because we're still here with a small little complex, small seating area, which we can't seem to cover. But then it would take some good thinking to get that done. Well, I'm on the mic. Let me say congratulations to all the winners this year. Both of the Queen shows and the Calypso shows, and Soca Monarch and Groovy Monarch and all of that, and Road March, the whole works. And in particular, let me reach out and say congratulations to my friend Hollywood for such an outstanding performance, and with him Daddy Nature, and the young lady who plays second runner up there as well. Hollywood has been in the mix for a very long time. This is not the first time that he's been crowned, but I think that this is the first time that he's winning by such a big margin. Because when I saw the margin, I said, well, this was a convincing win. He didn't win by 2 or 3 points. And that, to me, is a convincing win. And so we would want to reach out and say congratulations to all of them. Troops on the road, the whole works. But as we go to our first break, I want to ask the people what next. Because we have had this Culturama. People have had their rum, they've had their walking up on the streets and in the village and all of that. But now comes the reality of life after Culturama. After the rum and the whiskey and the walk up and the fetting and all of that, back to life. Back to reality. Back to Nevis where you're not too sure if you're going to have electricity and water. Back to Nevis where the young people coming out of school are now looking for jobs and where they can't find jobs. We're going to take a break. I just encourage you, if you're home, whatever you're sipping, whether it is lemonade or whether it is a red wine, sip it and be back with us after this.
You're listening to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM, your community station.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP, NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Nevisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it no matter if you're white or black like tar, NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP, easy. Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development, and good education for the kids.
Thank you very much and welcome back to Tell Me. We're going to get into those matters of life after Culturama. But I want to start the next segment by looking at a forum that I attended this afternoon. It was a session to engage the community put on by Kia Nevis. And you might know Kia Nevis from two vans that you see driving around Nevis and their love for animals, in particular cats and dogs. And they have been trying to build a center here in Nevis which would offer care for the pets of Nevis. Now, a couple of years ago, they did spading and neutering for 2 years, and in the process gave the service to about 600 animals. And then this administration decided that no, they didn't want that to happen, and perhaps they were doing too good a service. And so as a result of that, permission was withdrawn from the visiting vets who came in to offer that kind of service. Let me state for the record that I am totally and wholly in support of something like that. Because we have so many stray animals, mostly stray dogs. I don't think we see the stray cats as much as we see the stray dogs, all over the place. And every now and again, you see these dogs which have no owners when they get in trouble, get in litters, and so they have a whole set of pups, and then those pups get pups as well, and they're all over Nevis. If you own animals, if you own sheep and goats, and you have ever been affected by dogs, you understand what I'm talking about. But this administration took away the lease that K. Nevis had on a piece of land where they were going to build their center. And you know the funny thing about it? I learned this afternoon, had it confirmed, that they already have their building sitting in a 40-foot container and has been sitting in that container for 2 years. And Alexis Jeffers, the minister responsible for agriculture, withdrew the lease that they had given to K. Nevis to put up their center. This is unfortunate because they were not looking to the government to give them anything except the lease and the land. And so for the last 2 years, they have had to be doing most of this work from their homes. My understanding is that all of this has been done to protect, according to what I'm hearing, the local vets here on the island of Nevis. Listen, I'm a practical fellow. What are we doing to protect the lawyers on Nevis? We have 2 vets on Nevis. We have a whole ton of animals to look after here in Nevis. What are we doing to protect the lawyers on Nevis? Because we have plenty lawyers in Nevis and more coming every single year. So, listen, I believe that there is enough service on Nevis for all of the vets that we have, plus additional vets. What are we doing to protect the doctors on Nevis then? So we have 2 vets, but we are protecting the vet service. But we have 8 doctors. What are we saying? No more doctors must come? We still have people who are being trained as doctors, and there are still people who will come to Nevis as doctors. What are we going to do? Say to them that no, they can't come? But, you know, an even more interesting thing that I learned this afternoon at that meeting, which I'm so happy that I went to, is that a plan was actually given to the minister responsible for agriculture, Mr. Alexis Jeffers, to help to manage the donkey population on Nevis. I'm told that a plan was given in writing. And after Dr. Kelvin Daly and I exposed this slaughtering of donkeys that was taking place in Nevis, that the plan was resubmitted. And not a word from the CCM administration or the Minister Alexis Jeffers. So I believe Dr. Kelvin Daly when he says that his ignorance, which is keeping back agriculture here in Nevis. Because how can we have this major problem with the donkeys? And a plan was given and absolutely no response. The public does not even know about it. Well, I've been promised a copy of the plan and I will read it. And when I read it, I will share it. Because I want the people to understand what is happening here in Nevis. With this, what they call cull. But when you're having a cull, it is not a shoot and sight policy. What we have here in Nevis with the donkey is that the government supported a program where they actually paid people for each donkey that they shot. And it was a shoot and sight. So they shot the healthy, they shot the well, they shot any donkey that they saw. I mean, and if you dress up like a donkey, they will shoot you too. Because the people who were doing the shooting were only concerned about getting their $75 per donkey or $100 per donkey, whatever was the cost. So, in all of this afternoon, I came away from the meeting extremely happy that I went and convinced that a new NRP administration would first of all have to say to K. Nevis, we are going to give you the land that you want leased so that you can set up your center. We're going to have to say to them, you tell us how you can help us. Because this is not about helping K. Nevis, you know. This is about them helping us to take care of all these wild dogs that we have on the streets. And you can't tell me that you don't see them. I mean, there was one famous picture of a dog on empty streets in Charlestown with its lunch or dinner in its mouth, a garbage bag with whatever the contents were. And I'm saying to you that we have the opportunity to look after our animals better in a modern society. And I am firmly convinced that people who love animals have to love people too. And that I have 2 dogs at home, and I've done the responsible thing. My dogs, one a male, one a female, they have been spaded and neutered because that is what responsible people do. But how many people out there would have animals, would have dogs, would have cats, and they keep breeding? And they do this barbaric cake thing where they just take them over to some bushes and leave them. Mm-hmm. That is not what we ought to do in a modern society. In a modern society, we take them to have them spaded and neutered. And this government, where K. Nevis has their building sitting in a 40-foot container for the last 2 years, I'm saying that this must be wrong, gentlemen.
What was the other thing that was stuck in a container for what, 4 years?
Dialysis.
So it seems like as if there's something that these guys just don't want when it comes to the benefits of Nevisians to come out of containers. Wasn't there a guy from South Africa who came to Nevis to assist with the monkeys?
Yeah, and he came up with an ingenious plan. Monkey buffet. Just feed the monkeys, put out food for them up in the hills and they wouldn't come down here anymore. But I want him to try an experiment. Feed the wild dogs in Charlestown and see if they're going over in the bush where people have their pens to eat the animals. Just feed them wherever they are.
Now, I have one question in regards to K. Nevis. Am I understanding you correctly that the government took away the lease from them to establish their business because they said that they want to protect the 2 veterinary doctors that we have on the island?
There was a lease on, I think it's just a little under an acre of land close to us here.
Yeah, whatever the land is,
they took away the lease and did not offer any sensible explanation. But what is being gathered is that they do not want any veterinary service to compete with the government veterinary service. None whatsoever. But I'm saying, Tulu, that the government has a legal department. So why don't they shut down all the law offices in Nevis? The government, we have doctors. Why don't we shut down all the private clinics in Nevis and say everybody must use the Alexandra Hospital, use the government hospital? Why don't we say that everybody must use the legal department? I know it's a little bit extreme, but listen, that is what it boils down to. So the government has a vet clinic. And because the government has a vet clinic, they are opposing any other veterinary clinic on Nevis. It makes no sense to me.
Well, so you don't have an option of using a private facility?
No.
Or government facility?
No.
This brings back to mind the matter regarding the medical school that we have here in the island. Van Sammy was able to attract a medical school to the island and gave the school a 50-year monopoly that no other school can come in the island without 50 years. And within 50 years, and when he was asked about it, he said that he did it to protect the image of the medical school, because he believed that no medical school could come on the island which will be on par with that or even better than the one that is here. And it speaks again to the narrow mindset of these people.
How many do they have in St. Kitts? 5 or 6?
5 or 6. But he is comfortable with one. And he was able, when questioned about it, his reasoning for that is that they do not want the next medical school that is going to bring down the image of that one. Okay, we have Four Seasons as 5-star hotel. Diamond, Platinum. Okay, but then he is willing to bring Candy Resort that is not up to the level of Four Seasons, and it's okay. And they're willing to bring, according to them, other little things in between that is not up to the level of not even Holy Hotel or Mount Nevis Hotel. But it's okay for that. But to rival what? You're not going to give the people the option to bring inside here and give me a choice whether or not I want to go to the government medical facility or go to a private facility. It just doesn't make any sense. I cannot figure it out.
Well, gentlemen, I want to get back to this matter of after Culturama. Number of people have been contacting me and telling me that they lost equipment, washing machines, microwaves, the refrigerators and so on. NEVLEC seems to be taking absolutely no responsibility, irregardless of the fact that the electricity over the last 6 months or so has been unstable, and over the last month in particular has been erratic at best. Even the Culturama food fair, I understand, was affected by the electricity outage. So now we are after Culturama. All the whining and the walking up and the drinking of rum and whatever, that's behind us. Are the people supposed to forget their troubles? Having gone to Culturama and having fettered, trying to ease the pains of the harsh reality of life in Nevis under CCM, we now come to a time where the music has stopped, the band has faded, and it is now back to life, back to reality. Is the electricity going to be a little bit more stable now than it was? And even if it is not, what about the poor person in the middle of the heat wave of the summer who is without his refrigerator and is being told, hey, listen, we're not responsible, you must buy a surge protector? What about the people where the surge protector mash up before the fridge mash up? The electricity knocked out the surge protectors and proceeded to knock out the equipment. I mean, we are going to have to get to terms with a NEVLEC which seems to be saying we're not responsible for anything. Yes, the power went out, but we're not responsible. Yes, it mashed up a couple of things, we're still not responsible. Yes, your bill seems to be just as high as when you had power for the whole month. Because that is a challenge that people are facing, gentlemen. One young man said to me, listen, Powell, in the worst of the power outages, when I compare my bill to when the power wasn't going off so much, but the bill looked the same or slightly higher when I didn't have any electricity. But how is that?
It will be higher. Because everything you have run down, and everything you have run down, it has to pull extra current to come back up again. And by the time it catches itself up, current gone again, it's run down, extra current to come back up again. And so it will happen.
And then we have this NEVLEC with Farrell Smith as the chairman, who they fail to address the people directly on the pertinent issues. They are afraid and have been afraid and still continue to be afraid to tell us the full extent of the challenges that they face at NEVLEC. So when the power went out the first Sunday, they said to make a connection. You know, half of Nevis, maybe 3/4 of Nevis, really thought that that Sunday outage was when they were bringing the new generator online.
Well, that's the impression that they gave to us.
That is the impression that people got. But then when we had the second outage, for 2 hours, people again assumed that the new generator was going to come fully online.
Well, it's not that still?
But My understanding is that they were making some connections to facilitate the coming online in the future. So here we are, fingers crossed, hoping for the best. And in the middle of the Culturama, we were there watching an empty airport, looking to see when some parts would come in to fix whatever generators had additionally gone down. And nobody had come to the people to say, hey, listen, these are the material facts of the case. That we had to take offline an extra generator, which normally would give us whatever, 2.8 megawatts, 3 megawatts, whatever. And as a result of that, we are going to have scheduled outages. They didn't tell us that, but it got worse than that. In that divisions were experiencing scheduled and unscheduled outages. And the people of Nevis were just supposed to sit down and listen to the government, blame the government before. But if it took them 4.5 years for the problem to catch up with them, it's like a man buying a motor car from somebody who had it. It was working fine. They bought it and didn't do any servicing for 4 years. And then say, listen, they're going to blame Sean and Tulu because he told them jointly own the car before me. It's nonsense of the highest degree.
But the reality is, Van Samri as a leader from 1992 through 2006, he spent that 14 years in government blaming the NRP party for everything that didn't go well in Nevis and taking the credit for everything that went well. He took so much credit that I ran into people who were 30 plus years old and believed that Four Seasons was brought into Nevis under Van Samri and arguing with me big time. I remember having the tennis court, the court up in Brooklyn. There was an individual here who was working in the sport division, went to school in Nevis, came out and working in sports, and had some discussion about, and was convinced that and arguing, that is how much credit that he took. He took credit for everything on the island of Nevis that people 10 years ago who was already 35 years old believed that all of the splendid thing that took place in Nevis, that they took place under Van Samri. So he took all the credit for the good. And anything that didn't went well because of his inability to build on what was there, he cast it down. So I'm not surprised that they're doing the very same thing. The people of Nevis who live on the island and those who they are posturing to overseas must understand that in the first 3.5 years in this island, when water was stable, the government took the credit for it. They say it's because of them. Electricity was stable, they took the credit. But now in the last year and a half, they're about a year and a quarter, everything gone bad now. And then they're not taking the blame. They start to trade by NRP. And so it was good when they got into office for 3 years. Splendid. But as soon as things goes downhill, they're not taking the responsibility. The same thing they do with crime. When NRP was in office, the people must understand, Mark Brantley in particular single-handedly blamed Joseph Parry, Hensley Daniel, the Prime Minister, and C.G. Walwyn for crime on the island. And as soon as they're in office and the very same crime took place, they say it's not government business, it's a societal business, a societal issue. So it becomes an issue of the society while they're in office. But when they're outside of office, it's an issue for the government then that was in office. And the people of Nevis need to understand the hypocrisy that lies within these individuals and don't allow them to continue to pull wools over our eyes. How could you take credit for 3 years, 3.5 years, for the good water supply on the island of Nevis? I mean, water was so good that Alexis Jefferson said when he got into office, when he called in the manager of Bede into his office, the first thing he asked the manager of Bede, give me one reason why I shouldn't fire you. That's the minister getting into office after realizing the water situation. I mean, himself said that water was so good in Nevis that NRP was pumping water to throw away down the gut just to give Bean money. And then he came into office, and then for 2.5 years he was pumping the same water, running it down the gut. But then the brashness of these people is taking credit when things are going well. And as soon as things take a turn for the worse, they should blame on somebody else. And we have to let them know we are not satisfied with that. We are not going to tolerate your hypocrisy and your deception. And it's for us to rise up and speak out against this thing and speak out publicly. It still amazes me how people in Nevis and St. Kitts are afraid to speak out publicly on the issues that are affecting them. It amazes me.
Silence is still golden?
No, it's not golden in this. Silence here is aiding and abetting the perpetrators of evil on the land.
Sean, I want to engage you in a matter. Somebody sent me a picture 1:30 someday last week, where apparently by 1:30 the business of the airport had finished, and the Van Samre airport was like a ghost town. In the picture that I was sent, I couldn't see one living person. Absolutely empty airport. So we were promised by the minister responsible for tourism and Nevis that we would have additional seats, and he bragged and boasted about additional seats. But the Nevis airport is as empty as it has ever been, Sean. You spend some time there, you're a pilot.
And when I'm there, I usually pass through and not even bump into somebody. You know, I mentioned 2 weeks ago when I was here that someone called the airport trying to get a package cleared from one of the airlines, and that was a Monday, and they were told that they would have to call back on Wednesday because nobody would have been there the Monday afternoon or Tuesday, and that is because there were no flights coming in.
So they didn't have to use express package. They could have used regular post. Let it come downtown to the post office rather than use FedEx or DHL.
Send it to St. and put it on the boat.
Get your pastor.
You have to remember, under this minister, under Mark Brantley as the Minister of Tourism, Liat has stopped flying to Nevis twice. Twice in one term under his watch. And he has boasted that he has increased the number of seats coming into Nevis. And I agree with him, the seats are coming. They just are, the seats are empty. There are airlines that the government is guaranteeing to bring in empty seats. There are airlines that are coming in probably twice a week.
But Sean, we haven't promised more seats. The fact is that we have less seats. Seaborne is a bigger plane. But if Liat gone, Cape Air gone, the trade winds gone. How could you have more seats? We must end up with less seats. And so he has gone backward with everything that he has promised.
We're seeing an 85% reduction.
Okay.
Well, let me correct you with Tradewinds. Tradewinds is a seasonal operator.
Okay.
And throughout the Caribbean, they do a lot of business in the Northeast, in the Nantucket area. So during the winter, when it's snowing up there and all these rich people want to come down, they bring majority of their planes down. So you could say that Tradewinds would operate full capacity for probably about 5 months out of the year, which is probably going to start like in November. When this season hits, they send all their planes back up. So let's be fair with them.
Okay.
When I was on the board with NASPA, and the owner for Tradewinds came to Nevis, he met with us under the Nevis Reformation Party administration. So when Mr. Brantley is bragging and boasting, saying that he brought Tradewinds, I, Sean Springer, sat in a meeting with the gentleman. So I know that they were going to start, that they came to us. The reason why they did not start at the same time was because of the economic recession. Any businessman would, and if he's going to jump forward with a plan, he's going to look at the environment. And the environment at the time, worldwide, he chose to delay it. So when he started, the CCM was in power. So Mr. Brantley wants to take credit for it, but I'm not going to let him do it because I sat in the meeting. Cape Air. Remember, Cape Air started under the Nevis Reformation Party. Cape Air did as many as 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 flights daily from Puerto Rico to Nevis, and KPA never once came to the government for assistance. KPA did a lot of business with the college students. I would have been at the airport many times when I would see KPA coming full of passengers, don't have room for their bags, and an empty plane would come in just to bring the bags. You wouldn't see that now with any of these airlines that are serving us. Liat operated under has been coming to Nevis years, but under the watch of Mark Brantley, it stopped flying. They started again, stopped flying. They came in on the Caribbean helicopters. The schedule that they have, I don't know who takes that flight, because if you're making a connection in Antigua, the time that they have, you definitely have to overnight. If you are from Antigua, well, it will be conducive for you. But majority of people who are leaving Nevis to go to Antigua aren't going to Antigua to spend the night or to visit family. They're connecting to go somewhere else. So they are heading to St. Kitts. And if you Google online and look about the airport expansion projects and stuff like that, you hardly see anything in Nevis. Everybody's flying out of St. Kitts, including the minister, because I have seen him in the departure lounge. Not flying out of Nevis where he wants us to fly from, but he is in the departure lounge sitting by himself, not even engaging with the people, but he's too good for that. The Culturama came. I came back in on Tuesday afternoon, and the airport stayed open for me to come in. Tuesday afternoon and last lap Culturama, where you would think, okay, well, people would be probably heading back out or even coming in. There was no traffic. There were 2 planes on the airport, 2 small. Well, actually, I met one small airplane on a Tuesday afternoon in the middle of Culturama. And the minister, I don't know if he was here, but I know that his family was playing mass in another country for their carnival. Didn't participate with us. The pictures are there on Facebook for the world to see.
Wait. Let's go again. The minister is inviting people to come to Nevis for carnival.
But his family
gone somewhere else, so she in a their festival. No, that sounds like a paradox. Huh? that cannot. Well, I should not be surprised. But again, the minister is begging people from all over the place to come into Nevis to be a part of our festive activities, while the minister sent his family away to somebody else to celebrate the festivity.
Listen, guys, the CCM administration is a administration that is just that wants to fool the people. You drive through Nevis, you see all these signs, coming soon. I mean, I don't know. Well, what I do know, especially for the people of Brownhill, is that we're not going to be suckered again by the lies of the minister. You drive through Brownhill, and I keep emphasizing Brownhill because Brownhill people, and guys don't get vexed with me, but Brownhill people are very proud. We are very proud people. But Mark Brantley, who comes from Brownhill, he ain't from Hanley's Road. I don't care what anybody says.
He says from Hanley's Road.
He says from Hanley's Road, but everybody who knows Mark Brantley knows Mark Brantley from Brownhill.
Notice this one Brownhill, okay?
Well, I can bring him back into Brownhill. He is from Brownhill. He went to the Prospect Primary, which is now the Ivor Water. He is from Brownhill. He lives on his house is on the main road in Brownhill. If you drive into Brownhill from where we call Big Pat, all the way up to Sandy Shop, nothing has changed in 4.5 years under his administration. He said they patched some holes. Patch roads where?
Some holes in the road in Brownhill.
Partner, Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell. 2 cars cannot pass through Brownhill comfortably. And this is where the minister says that he is from. And he drives through there because he has to go to his house on the hill. He drives through there. He knows. If I was from Brownhill, I am from Brownhill, the first thing I would do is to fix my constituency, fix my area.
Absolutely.
Because people are going to
have a trophy.
People are going to ask where Sean Spring it from. I hear he's from Brownhill. I'm going to have them drive through on the worst village. Look at Rollins. Rollins got better road than Brownhill. Hanley's Road got better road than Brownhill. And the minister who is up and down, banging his chest, he has the people of Brownhill driving on the worst road in the community.
The minister will say to you, I told you all already, I'm from Hanley's Road.
So he's going to boast about the road
so
from
I look after Hanley's Road. I'm not from Brownhill. I'm not a Brownhill man.
But it shows that he has failed the people over, not only in tourism, the Minister of Aviation, Minister of Health, whatever you want to call it, he has failed completely. And all of the Astros and the astronauts and the spacemen and the Sams and the Williams and whoever, all these guys who are from Brownhill, who are following him, how are they going to go to the people of Brownhill and say, look, give this man another chance, but what have you done for me lately?
No, you see, they're saying that because they're saying, don't worry about what he hasn't done for you. He has looked after us. And so as long as he's taking care of the 4 of us or the 6 of us, forget about the rest of you.
Tulu, you're Christian, but you like to play the devil's advocate.
No, it's not devil's advocate. It's what the minister said. The minister says to us, prosperity in St. Kitts is a prosperity in Nevis. So Nevians, sit down, keep your mouth shut. All of you who ball, stop all your balling. Things good in St. Kitts, things good in Nevis. I'm just sure anybody man thinks.
Let me just tell you what my grandmother used to tell us in our home. If you want to play the devil's advocate, you're going to get licks.
Me not play the devil's advocate.
So I don't play the devil's advocate. I totally and wholly agree with Sean that he was supposed to say to the people of Brownhill, my action will speak louder than my words. And the campaign trail, I told you that I was going to do a number of things. And among those things I told you I would do was to fix the Brownhill Road.
It's not his fault. The junior minister wastes up the money.
You like to play devil's advocate. You're going to hell. I am saying to you, do not make excuses for the man.
It's not excuses. It's not. I'm not trying to make excuses for him at all.
Let me coin a new word. It's a bad cues then. Do not make any excuses for the man. He failed in bringing the road to the people. He said that he would fix the Brownhill Road. He has not done it. Let me show you what he has done for the people of Brownhill. You go down by the playfield in Brownhill tomorrow, next week, any day. Look up at the lights. Look up at the pylons that held the lights. And you notice how Mark Brantley has raped the Brownhill field of the lights.
I haven't been down there for a while.
They have been taking off the lights off the poles, not by the 1s, but by the 2s and by the 3s. That is the level of disrespect that he has for the people of Brownhill. Just go down there, and I have pictures on my phone I could show you. You drive down by the playing field in Brownhill. You look up at the poles, and you notice how many of the lights have disappeared, taken off, and the instructions of Mark Brantley. Every time they need a light any place in Nevis, for any playing field, or for anything that needs a light, they send Nevlek and they take it from Brownhill. As the minister from Brownhill.
So Brownhill not supposed to have anything?
No. As the minister from Brownhill, he was supposed to say, listen, we're going to order lights. Not we are going to rape the playfield in Brownhill. So what is Brownhill supposed to have? They're not supposed to have anything of class, of quality, and they have a minister who is the deputy premier from Brownhill. Well, if he cannot protect the people of Brownhill, if he cannot do for the people of Brownhill by giving them a road, when again are they going to get something? They're better off in the fold of the NRP. Well, look, let me tell you what he promised the people of St. John's. What he promised a family in St. John's. You remember the fellow Dylan Clark? You remember the promises of Mark Brantley? He was going to bring in Mossad, FBI, CIA, Scotland Yard, you name it. Anything that is in the alphabet, he was going to bring them to help to find Dylan Clark.
True.
He's in office now, has been in office for 4.5 years, has been in the federal parliament for 10 years, has been in the unity government in St. Kitts for 2.5 years. Have you ever heard him get up in parliament and say anything about Dylan Clark?
No.
Have you ever heard him here in Nevis get on his radio show and say, hey, listen, I did promise to find Dylan Clark, and this is what we have done? No. And even if he were not to voice it, because Sim Daniel used to say you can't make noise and catch monkey. So suppose he was doing things quietly and he didn't want anybody to know. Has he come to say to you, this is what I have done, these are the results, and this is where we are?
He has said nothing to the family.
Not a word.
Nothing to the mother.
but he used his words to get support from the family. He made the family believe that the government of the day, the NRP government, was not doing enough and that he would do so much more. And just like the park down at Penny's, just like the Brown Hill Road, just like geothermal, he has done nothing.
To the promise that he made the Clark family, he went and promised them a guardrail for the bridge that comes there, because their homes are close to the road, just in case something doesn't damage them. And I know for a fact that I went out there and said a caution tape. I saw somebody putting out caution tapes, and I was wondering why, if something was wrong with the culvert. Then I was told no, he promised them that guardrails. Bring a contractor there, measure up everything. And after the contractor went, after they put out the caution tape, the wind has already blown the caution tape away. And there's not even a nail came back there. And so, yes, the reality is, Mr. Powell, the man is an absolute failure. You may feel like I'm looking
now you're
at him,
talking.
but he is an absolute. That is something that I've said 100 years ago. But I'm just speaking in regards to what I hear the people in Nevis saying. In regards, there are some people in Nevis who believe that. Somebody said to me when I spoke about the two salary, they say, so what have you getting two salaries? Maybe if NRP was inside, they would have do the same thing too. And there's nothing wrong. They don't see nothing wrong with. So that is the mindset of some people. You speak to them, and that's the mindset. Mark and Vance can do anything for some people in Nevis, and it's okay.
And I will tell you again that I have a very good friend named Landlord, and he drives a Jeep which, when I look at it, is not red. But he said, if Mark telling me red.
There's some people like that.
Well, let me tell you what a teacher told me. You can have a class with 20 students. You teach all of them the same thing, but not all of them learn. And that was an experienced retired teacher. And so I take that analysis forward in life. You could teach people like my good friend the same thing that you teach everybody else. Not all of them will learn.
No, it is said that blindness is not something that just affects the eye. Blindness is something that affects the entire country. And it also said the worst blindness is not the blindness of the eyes, because you're physically blind. You can learn to do something, and we have seen that. But it says when a person chooses to be blind, he said there's absolutely nothing you can do with certain individuals, because they choose to be blind. They choose to see what they're going to see and what they're not going to see. And so, yes, I was in town some time ago, and I heard a guy say the very same thing. It was not landlord, but this was a gentleman who was there. And he even took his head out, he sat off his head and straight down on the ground and said, may God struck me dead. He said, if I know something for a fact that it is a lie, I know for a fact that it is a lie. And he emphasized about 5 times. And Mark Brantley come and tell me it's the truth. As soon as Mark Brantley says the truth, it automatically becomes the truth. These are people that we have inside of the island.
We'll take a break.
Unfortunately.
And in taking the break, I'll tell you some people are wise and some are otherwise. Let's take a break. Back after this.
You're listening to Community Radio, Choice 105.3. This is the Magic Man. Keep it locked. Friday, August 11th is TVX Launchpad Nevis Edition.
Pull up the thing, girl. Push back the thing, on the inside. Don't waste no time.
Featuring DJ Maspy, Blackstone International, SG Presidential Sound, Rave Hard Sound, and TVX Reloaded. 9 p.m. Free House is the place to be, and admission is only $20. Friday, August 11th, Queen City Nevis, get ready for TVX Reloaded Launch Party.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4 and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4 and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP. NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Novitions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it no matter if you white or black like tar, NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important.
Thank you very much and welcome back to Tell Me. We've been telling you that the university graduates who were promised their land at $1 per square foot for up to 8,000 square feet never got their land. This is extremely serious because nowhere has the CCM ever thought of delivering on this plan.
Correct.
It was solely to get those students to vote for the CCM, to push them over the line and to get them into office and to get the NRP out of office. But 4.5 years later, I want the people in Nevis and the people who are listening to us to show me, tell me, send me someplace in Nevis where I can find the land belonging to one university graduate who received up to 8,000 square feet of land as promised by CCM at $1 per square foot. And, you know, today I spent some time listening to the parliament down there in St. Kitts. And this is now the 10th time that the federal parliament has met. Mm-hmm. In Nevis, we have had one full meeting of parliament. And I listened to that Bagamouth double salary, do nothing blankly. And he made it clear that, listen, he don't make promises to people. He make contracts with people. And when he make these contracts with people, he deliver on the contracts.
What?
No, you heard that.
You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
I heard it.
Listen, I made it my business to listen to Parliament and to listen to him in particular.
He said
because we have an election which is coming up. He said he don't make promises. He takes it seriously, so he make contracts with the people. So I want you gentlemen to tell me where I can find the land belonging to one single university graduate. And you see, I am saying just one because we have a lot of university graduates. And whether they voted blue or green is immaterial. He said that all you had to do was to graduate from university and you qualified. Just graduate, do the application. And I know that young graduates have been applying. And they have been catching the nenen to get a piece of land in this country. But that is not what they were promised. They were promised that all they had to do, of course, and said loudly, but very quietly, vote for CCM, get rid of NRP, and they would get land at $1 per square foot. Not one of them has been given land at $1 per square foot. Maybe they are waiting to start with the minister's daughter. Maybe. But my argument is that that is a contract that was made with the people. And so if that contract was made with the people, gentlemen, it ought to be honored.
it ought to be honored because he said that he made contract and he keeps his contract.
Correct.
Okay? So then if he kept his contract and he's keeping his contract, well, that contract is fulfilled, has been fulfilled. And what they would call it, University Heights or something like that they were going to call it. But then, what happened to the dog industry that he promised?
Important, I was coming to that one.
Because he promised a dog industry. And notice, he didn't promise it to all the people of Nevis. He promised a dog industry, he says, to the young men of St. James's. He didn't promise it to the people of Brown Hill and Charlestown and Gingerland, St. James's. But let us go further afield. He promised us, and he had a contract with the people, that he had $1 million for the underprivileged children in Nevis.
Tulu, you're going a little bit too fast. Let us explore the dog farm first.
Okay, then let us go there. Let me slow down.
That is something which came as part of their campaign.
Yes.
And it was an idea that was rolled out very early. Normally in a campaign, you roll out your best ideas first so that they could gain traction. He promised a dog farm.
Dog industry.
Where in Nevis has he built a kennel? Remember, this is the same minister who is part of the cabinet who withdrew the lease, broke the lease with Kia Nevis. Well, Kia Nevis is going to be looking after dogs as well. But they broke the lease with Kia Nevis so that they have their building in a 40-foot container sitting down. But how is it then that he got up on the platform, put in the manifesto that they were going to have a dog farm in Nevis, and then broke the lease with Kia Nevis so that they could not set up their own Kia facility? But yet he wants the people of Nevis to believe that that was part of his contract. Where in Nevis can you find a kennel? One single kennel to hold one dog, when this doggish minister promised a whole dog farm?
Whole dog industry. Okay, so that is one, that is two. So you're going to the next one now?
Of course.
$1 million for underprivileged children in Nevis. So you go ahead.
This is something which came up when he was running to replace the late Malcolm Gishard in 2007. And I told people, when I asked, well, listen, you tell me about the introduction of Double Blankley into politics in Nevis. And they said that they found some old sick white horse. And they put this man on top of a horse in some kind of big broad hat. He had never even sat on a donkey before. Maybe he sat on a tricycle or a bicycle. But they found some old half-dead white horse to put him on and to trot him out. And when he came down, the biggest promise that he could give to the people of Nevis, I have secured $1 million for the underprivileged children of the country. And you see, I have always said to people that you have to analyze what he said. And so he promised $1 million. And just like a young girl who has a nice relationship with a good boyfriend, treating her nice, every now and again he take her out, and here comes this flashy Double Blankley do nothing and says to her, hey, listen, I know that you have a boyfriend. I know that he take you out down on Penny's Beach by one of the restaurants once a week. I'm going to take you out every single night. And we're not going in any Penny's Beach. We're going bananas. And we're going mangroves. And we are going to make sure that we go to Golden Rock. And we're going to go 4 seasons. And he used to give you some kind of little cheap fish. I'm giving you steak and lobster and shrimp. And she said, yes, that's what I want. But hear the joke. The people of Nevis who were promised $1 million for their poor and the privileged children, I have never heard one mother, one father, one grandmother, one great-grandmother say, listen, you know Winsong Foundation, you see me little child over there, he bright like the midday sun. And I get some money from Winsong Foundation to help to put my little grandson or my little granddaughter to school. And I want to thank the minister. He's 10 years gone now. Mark Brantley said he had the money. So if he had the money, did he thief the money? Or did he tell us lies when he said he had the money? Something must be wrong. One night on a radio show, he got a man with a foreign accent to call in to say that the money was there. 1 million is 2.7 million EC dollars. You know, even if you put out that in $100 bills, you know how long you're going to be counting all them Arthur Lewis before you get to 2,700,000. You're going to be counting and counting, and if you like me and you miscount, you got to count them over again. And nobody in Nevis got not even $100 from the Winsong Foundation. But that has to be the biggest lie anybody has come into politics on ever. Nobody got any of the $2.7 million from Mark Brantley that he went on radio and said that he had.
So he said that he had it, and a white man called him from somewhere and confirmed that he had it. So then that means he had it for true. I was saying all the time he didn't have it.
But he should be prosecuted. He should be prosecuted, because if he said he had the $2.7 million, and if he said that it was for the children, the underprivileged children of Nevis, what happened to the money? That is a question you got to ask.
10 years now.
10 years.
And he hasn't given us a dime, so all the interest on that is supposed to be up to nearly about 10 million.
If he put it on the bank, he can't take the interest either. He got to give it to the people.
People's money.
Because he said he was there for the people.
It's the people's money.
And you know, I keep saying that Nevisians are said to be 98% literate. But somebody told me, Powell, you got to stop saying that. When you say that the people of Nevis are 98% literate, you have to extend it, and you have to ask the second question. But since they're so literate, what about their ability to analyze? Because if it is 98% literate, what if their ability to analyze is only 2%? So that when you hear a statement, don't just run with the statement. You must be able to analyze the statement. So when he said that he had 2.7 million EC dollars, 1 million US dollars, but sit back and analyze. But if he had the money and he could afford to send his children to the best schools, what about the poor people who he promised the money? Where can we go to apply for some of the money? How long do we have to wait before we get a response to say whether we are approved or denied? And when are we going to be able to actually get the money? The people of Nevis been waiting for 10 years.
But he said he has already delivered. That's not what you said. He said today in the parliament in St. Kitts, he has a contract with the people and he has delivered on the promises that he made.
Yeah, he don't make promises. He make contracts.
He make contracts and he delivered on
he delivers on the contracts.
So then he has already delivered the 1.5 million, the 1 million US dollars.
To who?
We don't know, but he said he has delivered. Okay.
Let's take another break. Every now and again we get a little bit long and we don't take the breaks. And I want to make sure that the people who support the show are well supported.
Blessings.
You see Captain Jones and the crew over there with the bridge, I love them to death. I know every now and again Captain Jones is 5 minutes late, but I don't mind. I sit down and I wait on him because it's a wonderful service that they provide to the people of Nevis. We'll be back after this.
You are listening to Choice Community Radio 105.3 FM, your community station.
Friday, August 11th is TVX Launchpad Nevis Edition. Nevis Edition.
Pull up the thing, girl. Push back the thing, girl. The inside. Don't waste your time.
Featuring DJ Bassby, Blackstone International, SG Presidential Sound, Braveheart Sound, and TVX Reloaded. TVX Reloaded. 9 p.m. Fair House is the place to be, and admission is only $20. Friday, August 11th. Queen City Nevis, get ready for TVX Reloaded launch party.
Seabridge SKN announces their daily schedule between St. Kitts and Nevis. The boat departs Nevis at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. That's 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1, 3, and 6 p.m. The boat leaves St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. That's leaving St. Kitts at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 noon, 2, 4, and 7 p.m. Seabridge SKN, bridging the gap.
Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP. NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Nevisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it don't matter if you white or black like tar. NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP, easy. Yeah, my name is Chris Martin and dancing to the fullest. You don't know. I'm here say from you want investment, development and good education for the kids. Me have to big up NRP. You don't know. Smartin, representing for the NRP massive. Love yourself, believe in yourself. You're very important. Hashtag NRP a big deal. Alright, listen up. VIP. NRP, them a VIP. Nevis and Nevisions, them a VIP. Ask anybody, NRP is a big deal. Nevis people a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is a big deal. Okay, very, very, very important. Important for it. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all for Nevis' worth. So big up your chest if you love the land of your birth, cause NRP will give you maximum effort. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it don't matter if you white or black like tar. NRP vibes is to uplift your star. Push up on the one and tell all the haters we a big deal. NRP is a big deal. Youth education is very important. Important for it. NRP is a big deal.
And welcome back to Tell Me. Before the break, gentlemen, Mr. Paul, you brought up the House of Parliament that has been sitting for some 10 times in the past 8 months, and one sitting in Nevis in the past 8 months. And, you know, I've been saying over and over that Nevis has gone back 20-30. And a gentleman came and spoke to me. He said, Sean, no, we're gone back at least 50 years. Now, we celebrated the anniversary. Well, not celebrate, but we remember the disaster of the Christina. And the history behind it would be of the amount of Nevisians that used to go to St. Kitts to work. And that is why we had such a high rate of deaths of Nevisians, those who were coming back over to Nevis. And that's before my time. But, let's look at where we are in 2017. Mark Brantley, Vance Amry, the two big secessionists coming out of Nevis. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, they were pushing this whole secession clause. Pushing it. Independence for Nevis. Nevis needs to be on its own, that kind of thing. But who has been in St. Kitts for 10 times this year in Parliament and has forgotten about the Nevis people and only chose to come here once to address the issues regarding Nevis? You search on Google. I like to go on Google. I always call it my cousin. I could go back on Google and I could find anything. And I'm seeing so much information regarding the St. Kitts Parliament, but I'm not seeing anything regarding Nevis. They unveiled the bust of Sir Simeon Daniel in Charlestown. And maybe it was a mistake, but I think it was an act of God, that where it is placed, he is facing the pier. And he watches Mr. Brantley and Mr. Amry go to St. Kitts every morning to do the work in St. Kitts, when he, Simeon Daniel, and the Nevis Reformation Party wanted Nevis to govern its own. But no. They boast and they claim and they say that he is the best and, he's Sir Simeon, etc. But he's watching them go to St. Kitts every morning and he's watching them come back up from St. Kitts every afternoon. Why is it that in 2017, where we are struggling with electricity, we are struggling with water, our ministers are living in St. Kitts, fighting the cause of the people of St. Kitts, because they are part of the federal government, but they are not coming over to the Alexander Hamilton House to fight for the people of Nevis? The chairman of NEVLEC, who is the speaker of the Nevis Island Assembly, has not come and explained to us what is going on. Yes, they said that there will be power outages, but we have had more power outages after the installation of the generator, more frequent than before the generator was installed. What happened to the generators that were supposed to go on to the water pumps that would continuously give us water when the electricity would go off? We're not hearing anything about that. But the minister will go on the radio and he said, this is the best Culturama ever. He's saying that the economy is so good that people had money to spend. Which people are he talking about? I remember one year, it was probably 2 years ago, the minister was on another radio station between 1:30 and 2:30 one afternoon on a talk show. And he was boasting about how big Culturama was going to be. And he was at a specific bar with about 4 or 5 people around. And when he got on air, he started doing his hand like this, like to get the people in the bar to start to make noise, like as if there was a lot of activity going on. And then he said, yes, you hear the people behind me. It was probably about 5 people. But it shows how misleading the minister is. And, a few minutes ago, I got very passionate speaking about Brownhill. And you must excuse me, Tulu. But as I said, Brownhill people are very proud. And
Hamilton people too.
Okay, well, I can speak for Brownhill.
Okay.
I remember, let me jump a little bit and I can tie this in. I remember when the Honorable Michael Perkins was running, I had a debate with a family friend from the Craddock Road area. And he said to me, Sean, Mikey is from Craddock Road. I can support him because this is where he's from and I believe that he's going to do good for the people of Craddock Road. The people of Brownhill would have gone out and supported Mr. Brantley, would have done it because Mr. Brantley is from Brownhill. And there's a sense of, I don't care how people think about him, but you would feel a sense of, I don't know what's the word, but knowing that he's from Brownhill and, all the words that he had and all the chat that he got and all the talk that he could talk, that you would feel like Brownhill would just blossom. It was blossoming already and you would feel that it would blossom even more, so they would go out and support him. But after 4.5 years of complete failure, what is he going to tell the people of Brownhill? You remember the campaign and said that you should not go out and vote for Patrice and you should not go out and vote for the NRP because nobody should get 2 salaries. But yet he still come to the people and say, well, the people know what they were voting for.
You blame him?
But this guy, I am honestly hoping that with the upcoming elections, and we have a few months, maybe a few weeks before the next election, who knows? But I'm hoping that people open their eyes and not be fooled into the sweet talk, because a friend of mine told me, he said, Sean, the man could talk. And I told him, yeah, he could talk, but he can't do the work. He can't do the work. So you rather him go out there and talk on the international platform and everybody say, wow, Nevis people really smart. But then when it comes to the work, because I tell you, go on Google and search for the work that he has done. You see a lot of talk. You see a lot of coming soon. But you're not seeing the accomplishment of the minister in 4.5 years. And because he has failed us, he should be fired, as Donald Trump would say. And I hate to quote the man, but he should say, you're fired.
He shouldn't have been hired in the first place. And so, if you hire him in the first place, here's where the problem lies. When he won the election in 2007, people must understand, federal election, that when Malcolm Gishard was running for federal election and running here, there and everywhere to encourage people to come home to vote for him, Mark Brantley was saying to the people, don't come home. He himself was telling the people, do not vote. And you remember his favorite line, send back all the ballot boxes, they must think it's empty. And to insult Malcolm Gishard, he didn't leave Ireland the day before, or 2 days before, the morning of the election, after the polling stations were open, he boarded a plane and got along.
Did he vote?
Did not vote. Okay, he didn't vote for Malcolm. He was saying that federal election didn't make any sense. No politicians in sync is like Nevis people. That was his message. And then Malcolm died. And as soon as Malcolm died, notice when he came, he didn't tell us must vote for him. He said, let us do this one for who? Malcolm. So the people were voting and voting and voting up to the last election. I think he was still telling people, vote. When you vote for him, you vote for Malcolm.
So don't vote for him when he's alive, but when he dead, vote for him.
Vote for Malcolm. Malcolm died. And the people ran behind him and say yes, because I've heard person who says yes, they vote, and they did not vote for Brantley, but they're voting for Malcolm Gishard.
What did I say about the ability to analyze?
but so then he should not have been there in the first place. Mark Brantley came on the scene, offered one solitary thing in 2007. We'll be going back there, Mr. Powell. $1 million I have for the underprivileged children and Nevis. So all the Nevisians who have challenges in sending their children to school then, because NRP didn't have a poke, we just came in, okay? But everybody who had a little challenge and expect to get a little thing with some books and uniform and whatever to assist underprivileged, not the rich people children. But he said in the parliament in Singapore we are hearing that he said what? He has a contract with the people, not promises, and that he has delivered on the contract that he made with the people. So then the question must be asked, and we are correct, Mark Brantley, where is the $1 million that you claim that you had for 10 years now for the underprivileged children of Nevis? And has not delivered than 10 years now.
You see, I just took a call. A friend of mine called me to remind me that he said that Troy had the money.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he said he passed it over to Troy.
He didn't say give Troy. I remember the conversation well. He says that he gave Troy the mandate to come up with a plan for the money utilization of the money.
So he kept the money.
He kept the money until Troy come with a plan.
Because if that $1 million had landed in Troy hands, you wouldn't see it again.
I don't know what's going to happen. But nobody see it yet.
Okay, so let me ask a question. When he said that the commitment to the people, is he speaking to the Kittitians?
No, because he was speaking as a representative.
Number
Nevis 9.
Nevis 9.
When he was called upon by the speaker.
Are you sure that he's able to separate himself?
Nevis 9.
When he was called upon by the speaker, who is also a Nevis man, the speaker said, I recognize Mark Brantley representative for Nevis 9. So he was not speaking for St. Kitts. He was speaking in his capacity as the representative for Nevis 9.
I'm not sure he was able to separate.
So Mark Brantley is saying that based on the contract, the land at $1 per square foot for students who went to college and graduated and came back, that he kept that promise. Well, he's saying that he kept his promise on the dark farm.
Don't move too far from that, because you know my phone works over there. And I just got a message from a very good friend of mine who reminded me, listen, he had 2 daughters graduate within the last 9 months. And they have been pressing him, Daddy, we want our land at $1 per square foot. Because they have held their part of the bargain.
Some want to lie again.
They have kept their part of the contract. All they had to do was to graduate and expect land at $1 per square foot.
Okay, so that's 3. Because he kept the contract. Let us go to Cherry Garden.
What did he keep the contract?
He said he kept his contract. He said he kept his agreement in the contract. That's what he said, right?
He can say anything in his warped mind.
Okay, in his
what
mind.
Are the realities on the ground?
Come today. Okay, so let us go to Cherry Garden. What was the promise there, the contract there? What was the contract in Cherry Garden?
Reduction of mortgages by at least $300 and in some cases $500.
$500. Has there any reduction in mortgage? Because he says what? He kept his what?
He kept his contract.
He kept his contract.
Well, listen.
I mean, he's saying that the people of Cherry Garden has gotten on the $500 or the $300 reduction on their mortgage.
In reverse, some of it gone up by $300 to $500.
So he lied again.
Again. And remember that most of those persons who are paying through the corporation now find themselves having to get a bank loan to take care of their mortgages and having legal fees, because a lot of them were taken to court by the firm representing Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation. And you know what that firm is? Hapson and Associates. So the QC got to get a little piece of the action. And the people who voted thinking that they would be getting a reduction in their mortgages find themselves paying more money for their mortgages. Tulu, is that keeping the contract?
Okay, he promised Olympic-sized swimming pool at a park in Pinnis, and he said to us that he had already had the money secured for that park at Pinnis. Again, he said that he had the money. The money was secured for the park at Pinnis. And again, he said he keep his contract. So then the people of Nevis must understand. Has he done that? Let us go down to Pinnis and tell me if there's a park down there.
No, before you go down to Pinnis, all you have to do is to find the Observer for July 8th, 2016. And when you look in the Observer for that date, you would notice that a piece which was so well written by Monique Washington. It said that Mark Brantley, quote, I don't think it's a secret that we had funding in place that has disappeared.
What?
It's there in black and white. I don't think it's a secret that we had funding in place and the funding has disappeared. I mean, the title of the article by Monique Washington since 2016, July 8th in the Observer. Brantley claimed the funds disappeared. Funds he never secured. I mean, the man never had a copper, not a red cent for the park in Pinnis. But he said he had secured the funds because it sounded better for him to say that he had the funds secured than to say he's looking to secure the funds. And just like he had the funds secured for the Winsong Foundation, $2.7 million, which only he knows where it went to, just so the money for the park at Pinnis disappeared. Poof.
If he said that it's disappeared, the money for the park, then perhaps the money from the Winsong disappeared too?
Maybe.
And then if he had it secured and it disappeared, then he must give an account for the money. He's supposed to be coming to the people and say, I had it and I lost it and this is how I lost it. He must give an account for it.
You're absolutely right. You're on the button with that.
He must give an account because he had it. And if he lost it, and if he had it for the people of Nevis, it's the people of Nevis money. And so we have a right to know what happened to the money. Did he gamble with it? Did he pay the lotto with it, hoping to gain on it? And so, in speculating on it, he lost it? But we need to understand that. But we are saying this because he said, right? He has kept his agreement that he made, his contract with the people of Nevis. And so oh boy, we're in trouble. We're in trouble here, so. We are in trouble right here. Mr. Brantley, what happened to our $1 million US? Mr. Brantley, what happened to the money that you claimed that you had secured or procured for the park at Pinners? You said that you had delivered on your contract that you made with us. So you did not promise us a park. You had a contract with us and you has delivered. We haven't seen the park. Last week for Culturama, the land for the park, you had food fair day. And so I have not even seen a piece of fence around it to say that you lost the money in the fence in some way. So where has the money gone? You said that you kept your part of the contract. But Mr. Perry, let us look at another part of the contract that he said he kept. Because we know in 2015 he went down to Guyana with a delegation, and he came back and he promised us that he was going to add to the dialysis units that were here, at least to make it up to a complementary of at least 4. I think he says he's going to bring 4 to add to the 2 that was there, to add to the 4. However it is, he was going to increase or double the amount that was on the island. Then the question is, in that contract, has he delivered on that? Because that's what he says to us. He signed the contract. So, Mr. Perry, address that one for me, please.
Well, he said he would triple the number that we have here on Nevis. So we have 2. Those 2 machines were bought as a joint venture. We had the government putting in the majority of the funds, but the University of the Americas put in some good money too. They put in $100,000. They had the money. The evidence is seen in the money and the purchase which was made with that money. Unlike the Winsong Foundation money, which disappeared. Unlike the money for the park at Pennies, which disappeared. The university put in $100,000 and the government put in the balance of the money. What happened to the dialysis care here in Nevis? After having promised to treble the number of machines for dialysis care, after having taken a delegation down to that lovely South American country, Guyana, what happened? Nice sounding speeches. Nothing happened practically on the ground. The containerized units are here. And people have to understand that those units were brought to Nevis and just needed a couple of things done. Tulu, I am going to encourage everybody to get on Google and read a piece by Mr. Shai Gold. And in that piece, he set out clearly what steps were taken by the Nevis Island Administration and the Ministry of Health, led by Hensley Daniel, to ensure that dialysis care would come to Nevis. And you see all this nonsense that Double Blankly spoke about with respect to Nevis and no component being in the contract for training. Shai Gold put all of that foolishness to rest, because he clearly detailed that the training for the Nevis nurses who would operate in the system would have been done not too far from us, but just down the road in Anguilla. He clearly detailed that Dr. Gardner, who operate similar units in St. Croix, was going to be involved in the program here in Nevis. He clearly articulated that there was a guarantee period under which his company would have had to do a number of things with the units here in Nevis. 4 years after those units arrived in Nevis, they are still, if they are still there, at the hospital grounds here in Nevis. You know, even the reagents, to show you how foolish this government is. And you know, Mark Brantley described the government as mumu. I think he was referring to this government. His words would be apt now. He described the government as mumu. This government in which he serves has done enough for us to qualify them and classify them using his own word, mumu. And you know, when you look at dialysis care in Nevis, or the lack thereof, and the number of people who continue to suffer, and those who have died, you know what comes to me? When the renal project was being done here in Nevis, which was brought to us by a lot of people, but I like to single out Nevis people. Odell Busso had a part to play in that. And when that came to Nevis, Mark Blankley, as the Minister of Health, opposed it. So many people in Nevis were able to find out what condition the kidneys are in. Not because the Ministry of Health, which is led by Double Blankley, supported it, but because people took it upon themselves and said, listen, whether he supports it, yes or not, whether the government supports it, yes or not, we are going to check our kidneys. And I was part of the group that was happy to say that I went, whether the ministry wanted it to happen, yes or not. So dialysis care in Nevis, you can take that again, Tulu. And what we're doing here is to show that when he speaks, you have to look behind the words. You have to say that this is a lawyer who is trained. But despite his training, if he were to come up under cross-examination and you were to put some questions to him, you would clearly find out that he has failed on the matter of Winsong, because he promised $1 million for the poor people of Nevis, and the poor people of Nevis, their children, are still waiting to benefit from this money. He promised finding Dylan Clark, and I'm just going over and ticking Tulu so that people at home could write down and tick. He promised that he would do all in his power to find Dylan Clark, and he would find Dylan Clark. But he has not been able to come to us and tell us what steps he has taken to find Dylan Clark. That is another failure. He promised the people of Brownhill that he would fix their roads. And whether you come from Brownhill, and Sean like to say Brownhill people are the proudest people in Nevis, I don't think he can be Gingerland people and Zion people. But everybody will say the same about where they come from. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm not proud of Zion and Gingerland. It's where I'm from. Good people come from over there, including Uncle Vance. He's so good that they're pushing him off the plank. So, Brownhill Road has not been fixed. You spoke about the park at Penny's, and you have to give that another F. You have to fail the man on that. Earlier we spoke about the airlift, and he failed on that as well. Instead of increasing the airlift into Nevis, it has been reduced by 85%. Lot of mercy. What will he say to the people of Nevis when he comes in front of them? We just spoke about dialysis. And we spoke about the dog farm. You have to give that another failing grade as well. What about the $1 per square foot land? Another failure. Tulu, you spoke about the reduction of the mortgages in Cherry Gardens. That is what was promised by the gentleman. That has not happened, so you give that another failure. And I'll turn over to you, Tulu, to see if you can find the investors. You remember, he said, you know, we have investors off there. And I think he took a picture of one of those tourist boats, one of those cruise ships going into Bastia and St. Kitts, just off Nevis. And he said, look, there the investors out there sitting on that. Anybody find them in Nevis yet?
Nope. But then you let us look at the other one. He and his family went down to Asia, Taiwan, China, in that region. And when he came back after the trip with his family, he said to us 100 Chinese investors are going to be following him in 1 week. And the whole of Charleston, all the taxi operators will be having job because I think they were going to be around for a month. Okay? And they will drop, and then after they come in, there'll be this great development that they'll be putting down, and they are candidate for the Citizens by Investment Program and what's not. And you know, me hear people, taxi drivers and others, was clapping their hand and saying a week time. When you hear me speak here, right? I speak here the way I speak because I am dealing with people out there and listen to what they're saying, the rationale that they're making. And people firmly believe that 100 investors from down China and Taiwan were going to fall in Mark Brantley 1 week later after he came down from up there. And I'm telling them that nothing goes so old because you know like the man and I know want good for Nevis and what's not. So the question is, how many investors out of the 100 has followed him?
The one for Candy Resort, where he got his law firm involved, where he got his wife real estate company involved, where he personally was involved, and where the project still can't finish and has not employed a division to date. But he and his family benefited, not only here in terms of the Arthur Lewis going in the bank, but in terms of a holiday. He 2 children, his wife and he jumped on a plane and went all the way down to China. If you ain't careful, they stop in Hong Kong, they stop in Japan, they stop in Singapore, stayed in fine hotels, travel first class. Look at the benefits. And as the old people like to say, you have to look to understand how this is going, because the law firm get work. His wife real estate company got work. His whole family got a trip. He got his allowance from the treasury here in Nevis, because at first they said that it was a private trip, and then they said no, it was an official trip. So what it meant is that he got money from the free trip, and he got money from the treasury for his expenses. And then his law firm got money, his wife real estate company got money, and I suspect that the children would have been given gifts. So what roll off the horse back? That old white horse that he came down the Brown Hill on, Lampa Hill, what roll off the horse back? Roll right underneath the belly.
There's a fundamental question that must be asked of Mr. Brantley, and people need to rationalize, because in my own mindset I'm thinking it. How many of these trips that he goes on when he said he's going on official trips are trips that are for the benefit of the country, or trips that are beneficial for his law firm and the companies that are run by his wife? That's a question that we must ask. I am not saying that it is that the trips are basically taken up with that, but any rational individual must stop to say something funny here. That all these trips that these guys are taking overseas, they're not just going out there to contract or conduct the affairs of the people of St. Kitts or St. Kitts and Nevis, but I want to believe a whole lot of those time are spent looking into things for their own personal benefit. That is just my mindset.
But of course, which one of the cards does he hand out? The card for Daniel Brantley, or the card for him as Minister of Tourism in Nevis? It would be interesting to find out which one of them come out the wallet first. But Tulu, I don't want you to stop until you talk about geothermal, because remember that he promised that he would be the one to swing the key. This was all he was talking about coming up to the last election in 2013.
And the key should have been swinging at what? The end of this year?
2017. But you know the problem? The problem is that the fellows lost the key. And since they have lost the key, in the old days as little boys, we always used to think that whenever you wanted to start a mini-moke and you can't find the key, you take a sardine key or a beef key. But these fellows can't even find a sardine key or a key for a beef can so that they could swing it. Nothing is happening for them. It is so unfortunate. You know, when he thought that geothermal was going to come in a matter of months and that they didn't have to do any hard work. He was the chief spokesman for geothermal. I saw a press release from London in England where he promised that Nevis is going to be the greenest country in the world. I agree with him, NRP Green.
That thing didn't make the BBC News. I did not say it in newspaper. I heard him literally speaking somewhere. I'm not sure it's BBC News or some news speaking about that. Yes, from London. But people must understand, again, while Mark was making his noise that he's going to turn on the switch, people must understand that he is one of the greatest detractor to geothermal in Nevis. Because when NRP chose to advance geothermal, which again, I'm going to give Vance some credit, although Mr. Paridon clarified that for me, that geothermal didn't start under Vance Amory. But he said it was his. So let me give him the credit, it was his. When Vance was doing geothermal, we heard nothing from Mark Brantley. When NRP came in and advanced geothermal, one of Mark Brantley's condemnation was NRP gonna cause earthquake and gonna kill people. And so he was never on the bandwagon and is supporting geothermal on the island of Nevis. But yet, having done all that they can do as an organization to slow down or to stop the process, when they got into office, he claimed that they were going to throw the switch and he was going to turn on the switch. I think it's supposed to have been December 2017. And there's nothing here, but notice he said that he doesn't make promises. He makes contract. And so his contract with the people of Nevis was, at the end of 2017, you are going to have geothermal in Nevis. At the end of 2017, Nevis is going to be the greenest island anywhere in the region because of green energy, not only for geothermal, but also for the thing that was supposed to put out of solar plant over at Long Point.
And waste to energy.
And waste to energy. You put them all together, Nevis would have been green. And he said in Bastia today, from the Parliament building, in his colorful language that people love to hear, that I do not make promises to people. I didn't make any promises to the people of Nevis. Nevis 9 in particular, and Nevis in general. I made contracts with the people, and I have delivered on the contracts. We have just itemized just about 10, 11, 12 things there that he promised, which are the bedrock of his campaign and the support that he has gotten from people on the island of Nevis based on these things. And Mark Brantley would have looked at you, who has voted to him for him, and says to you that he has delivered on everything that he said that he would have delivered on. Now, it's for you, the people of Nevis, to understand whether that is true. And if it's not true, and you know it's not true, then you are supposed to lick his butt. Those of you who are parents, just as you lick the butt of your children for telling you lies. I know this is some of the most brutal licking I see my brothers and sisters get from my mother is when they told lies. I didn't tell her any lie. I used to tell her the truth because I know I'm going to get away telling her the truth.
Mine, she listening, mine, so don't tell her lie now.
She tell me she got a licking. I ain't telling a lie. I used to be truthful. If I take up 10 cents out of the house and he asks who take up me 10 cents, I don't know if she does know she had 10 cents.
You put up your hand.
I say, I'm me. Good, no licks. If you hear me say not me and not me, I take it up. And all the others and them say that not them, every one of them will get licking. Because what? One I take it up, the innocent gonna pay for the guilty. But as long as me take it up, I am gonna say take it up. If I go anywhere out of the way where she sent me, I'm not gonna come back and say, listen, I went straight and come back straight. I stayed on the road, paid some marble, I went by so and so and so. Because somewhere if you tell lie, she's gonna find out and she like to put up licks. And when she giving licks, she putting up licks some month and thing. And this for this one, and this for this, and that for that. I didn't want all of them kind of story. So I tried my best to be honest. Okay? And so I'm saying, to the voters of Nevis was voted for Mark Brantley from 2007 up to this point, Mark Brantley would have said to us from the Parliament of St. Kitts and Nevis in the federal parliament today that he has kept all of the contract that he has made with you, not promises. He didn't say the things that he gave or he said he's going to do. He didn't see them as promises. They're not like those who keep promises. I keep contract and I have delivered on my contract. So then all of you who has children from 2007 to now who are underprivileged and were struggling and voted for him for some of that money to assist your children, he said he has delivered the money to you. So then you're either telling lies upon him or he's telling lies. And we know that he has lied to us because since he's back in office, he would have said that he gave Troy Leiber, the Minister of, not education, the money is for educational purposes. But he has given the minister, junior minister of public works, the mandate to come up with a plan as how they are going to disperse your $1 million. Did it not happen? Those who the money were for 10 years ago has lost out. Your children lost out. It was not for the children coming tomorrow. It was for your children then. From back in 2007, your children were supposed to be benefited and has benefited from that $1 million Winsong money that he claimed that he had or he claimed that he has, because when they asked him last, when he said that Troy was given a mandate to come up with a plan, he was claiming that he still had the money.
But what kind of jokey minister is this? He is the one who had the initiative. He is the one who took the credit for sourcing the money. He is the one who said he had the money. And then he asked somebody else to come up with the mandate. So that alone should tell you that the man was lying.
The man telling, I keep on telling people the man is telling lies. No, inside in telling lies there, Mr. Powell, is something that is left out here. He has indicated that Vance Amry is one of the biggest jokers upon the face of God's earth. Because Vance Amry is the Minister of Education, who is in charge of the Ministry of Education.
But he didn't trust Vance with the money.
I didn't trust Vance with the money. It's pass it down to try. He didn't trust nobody in the Ministry of Education. The money is for educational purposes, to assist underprivileged children, which means it was not given for them to build a classroom. It was not given to them to do anything with the physical plant at the school. It was given for the children, to assist their children to get them to school, to help them with the education. And rather than saying, happen, I have spoken to the Premier, who is the Minister of Education, and we are drafting up a plan for this money, which will be dispersed. And since 2009, I think was 9, the white man was on the radio with him, saying that the money would have been started dispersed in the October of that year. Okay, so we come here now. Where is the money? And Mr. Brantley, it is your responsibility to tell us what happened to the money. You say you has it. Why have you held on to it for 10 years now? Something is wrong somewhere, and I rather suspect that is one of your lies that you have fed the people of Nevis and benefited from. But one of these days, your lies are going to catch up with you, and they're going to be like a noose around your neck, and they're going to pull you so far that they will not be able to take you out of jail. Keep on telling lies. They will land you straight in jail.
With Tulu, we've been talking for the last 2 hours, and we are flat out of time.
2 hours gone?
And guess what? Not a soul told me what is the score between Barbados and St. Lucia. Because the CPL is on, and I'm a cricket man. So I'm here all night talking politics and trying to find out what is the score.
Your phone?
Yeah, but I didn't feel that I had to Google the score. I have enough friends. Some one of them should have told me what is the score. And some of them watching. My good friend Ivor in Miami already told me he watching the game. He said, tell me first and then CPL good. After. But I believe that every now and again he's sneaking a look to find out what is the score. But nobody has told me the score. As we close this evening, though, I want to say a very very special happy belated birthday to our good friend Miguel Mills, who not only celebrated his birthday yesterday alongside the good Archdeacon Percival and Dr. Winston Isles from Overbath and my friend Clinton Willett. All of them celebrated yesterday, and I'm sure there are some people who we don't know about. But of all of those people who celebrated, Mills is the one who included. He brought a whole pizza here to the studio for us this evening, and drinks as well. Nothing strong because Tulu don't drink strong, and I am moderate in my drinking. And Sean don't drink either. He's a pilot, and if you said drink, and Marshall think that he got in even little lime juice, and the lime juice might turn a little alcoholic, he ain't drinking that neither. So it's not strong drink.
I'll say amen, Marshall. Amen, Marshall. Amen.
So, I want to say thank you to Mr. Mills, who is always very quietly supporting us here at Tell Me, and to all those people who celebrated their birthdays. And again, we want to say to you that, listen, Culturama is over. And as I like to put it, all the whining, all the fetting, all the walking up, all the drinking done. Let's get back to the business of examining the last 4.5 years under CCM. And if these promises that we outlined to you this evening, if they have been kept, well, then you could continue sipping your red wine and hoping that rain falls, and that you will have no problems. But if these promises have not been kept,
it has not been kept,
then you have to hold the CCM straight in front of you, and they must be given a spanking. There is no reason why any rational person could say to you that after 4.5 years they are coming back to you to say to you, listen, give us 4 more years because we know we didn't do what we said we would do. You cannot, anytime somebody come to you like Van Samri again and say, just vote for me and then I will tell you what I will do. You are supposed to say to him, go from in front of me. If you stand up in front of me, I will tell you what I will do to you. Nevis, we are not accustomed to being so literate and still behaving like the 2% people who are illiterate. We must be able to have analysis. We must be able to rationalize. We must be able to look and see what is happening and see what is in the best interest of you and the people of Nevis generally. We are happy to have been with you this week, and we'll surely be back with you next week, God's willing. Until then, stay safe.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need.
Listen.
Caller, you want to tell me and then we tell you what.
Learn.
My passion first is for young men to be what we used to call in the boys' brigade, sure and steadfast.
Tell Me, a choice program on Thursdays from 8 to 10 p.m. It's eye-opening.
Hello. I want to tell people them be careful what they call Nevis people. Anybody calling us trash, we're going to lick you and we're going to lick you real hard.
Thought-provoking.
You own people you're calling outsiders.
No.
Interesting.
Hush your mouth because you don't even know the facts. Oral Martin should have make it his business to notify NNC.
Oh, you work at NNC?
And let me know.
And entertaining. Tell Me, heard all over the world on www.choicefm1053.com. What have you got to say? Calling on area code 869-469-5300. From the USA or Canada, call 203-983-8903. From your cell phone, call 662-5304 or text 1053 or email tellmechoice@yahoo.com. Nivisions, near and far, your chance to call in on Tell Me on Choice Community Radio.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you need. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, baby.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program are not necessarily those of Choice FM Community Radio or its advertisers.